insight and way into this matter that has brought a lot of concern. The effectiveness and the efficiency of the CBC has brought about a lot of talk, both from the mainstream media as well as in the social media aspect. What are some of the concerns of the teachers and the parents here, the likes of these people who feel like to some extent they are not comfortable with the CBC? That is our morning discussion that we'll be having together with my guest. Like I mentioned, I'll be speaking to Mr. Elisha Mwango in studio here together to have an in-depth talk concerning this matter. Remember also, parents have had to put in their statements concerning this factor of the CBC, saying to some extent they are being left to do a lot of work in making sure that the CBC is being rolled out. And there's some few factors and issues that are coming out here. And currently, the Kenya Institute of Curriculum Development has urged the parents to stay calm, and they're looking into some of the issues and concerns they had raised earlier. This comes in a week where we've also seen the LSK President Nelson Havi, who is set to be headed in court tomorrow to have the rolling out of the CBC scrapped off. And the biggest question we are asking you this morning, do you agree with the idea to scrap off CBC? Talk to us. The number is below your screen. Share your comments as well on our digital platforms. And of course, we'll be sampling your views as we get along with the show. Give us your thoughts, give us your sentiments, give us your view concerning if you feel CBC should be scrapped off or not. And that is what we will be discussing on our second segment of the show. But first thing first, we normally take time and look at the news stories as given out by the dailies. And the very first newspaper that I'm going to look into is the Daily Nation. And on the front page of the Daily Nation, it's all about the game of numbers. And we're told that the Electoral Commission seeks to enlist 6 million new voters, mostly those who turned 18 after 2017 general election. And this opens a new battleground for political parties as they target to recruit the youths ahead of the 2022 general election. And it's all about a game of numbers once again here. You'll agree with me that every single time we have a general election, the factor at which most plays top is about the numbers. And the voter registration patterns have been used to predict the presidential election outcomes. And this time round, according to the numbers listed here on the front page of the Daily Nation, clearly tells you that it's quite a race against time as different political parties together with politicians, particularly those who are looking forward to take up the position of the presidency, are looking into so keenly. And given out, there is quite a map showing the different counties that are set to have the highest number of potential new voters. We have the likes of Mombasa County, which is set to record 234,741. These are the new voters that are looking forward to be registered as voters in the 2022 general election, out from which we also have Kilifi with 331,889, followed closely by Machakos, Nairobi County, with the highest number of registered voters to 809,583. And of course, we also have the number 2 county that is set to have quite a huge number of voters as well. We have Kiambu, that is 489,361. That is a game of numbers given out on page 4 as well. And we're told that open season for vote hunt as new listing aims for 6 million youths. And the race against the race to the 2022 general election gains fresh momentum in just over 2 weeks, with the Electoral Commission now set to kickstart a mass voter registration targeting close to 6 million youths who have attained a voting age in the past 5 years. And of course, there is quite a table there showing all the 47 counties and the number at which the potential new voters are listed there. You can find that story on page 4, and we also seek to find out some of the moves, plans, as well as the strategies taken up by different political parties and political leaders in a bid to try and woo support concerning this matter as well. And you'll agree with me that time and again, we've also seen these leaders calling on the youths to come out and play a key role in decision making as far as our politics is concerned. And this has been seen as one of the reasons as to why they have been crisscrossing the country, particularly engaging the youths who make the larger amount of these new potential voters ahead of the 2022 general election. Details concerning this story that pertains to the game of numbers is listed on page 1 and extended to page 4 of the Daily Nation this morning. Now, out from that matter as well, now let's shift gears into another matter here that pertains to the politics of the day. And we're told that Raila woo Ma community with land pledge. We're told that the ODM leader, that is Raila Odinga, has pledged to address the systematic marginalization of the Maasai if he is elected president next year. Mr. Odinga yesterday met a delegation of leaders from Kajiado, Narok, Samburu, Laikipia, as well as other counties at Rongata, Rongai in Kajiado County, promising to protect their land rights. And the community has told he told the delegation led by its spokesman, that is Kajiado Governor Joseph Olelenku, that they are looking forward to finding a solution in issues about their land. And there's quite a quote here from the ODM chief, Raila Odinga, saying that you have issues of land, marginalization, traditions that jeopardize your desire to march at the same pace with other communities, and that is what we will be looking into as well, and that is what we will be seeking to find out whatever will be happening as far as this story on page 5 is concerned. Remember, that is what is making headlines, and it's our obligation to update you on the same. Remember, all these stories that I'm giving you are courtesy of the Daily Nation, particularly the issue about Raila trying to politically seduce Ma community with that land pledge. You find that story on page 5 of the Standard. That is what is playing out, politically speaking, on page 5 of the Standard. And now, into another matter here that pertains to the issues of health. On page 8, we're told that shock as doctors use head lice drug to treat COVID-19 patients. And of course, we're told that Kenyan doctors are still using a drug meant for head lice to treat COVID-19, even as it was declared unfit for human use by the National Pharmaceutical Regulator. And according to the Poison Board, says that it has only approved the use of this drug to treat elephantiasis, and therefore it's not supposed to be used to treat COVID-19. And it's quite shocking in the country that we have some Kenyan doctors who still go ahead and use this drug meant for curing elephantiasis, and they use it to treat COVID-19 patients. But according to a week-long investigation by the Nation, that is the Daily Nation, it has come out and identified that Nairobi, Kisumu, and Mombasa are the places where the drug is used at the most. And of course, it's why and they say here that we do not give it as outpatient. We do not give it to outpatients unless the patient is admitted here and it is the consultant who prescribes. This is according to one of the doctors who was caught up into offering this treatment of the elephantiasis to patients who are suffering from COVID-19. Details concerning that story, the shocking story on how the Nation had to reveal how some of the doctors are trying to use this drug in treating COVID-19 patients. You can find it on page 8 of the Standard. Issues about COVID-19 and the vaccination, all that is on the Daily Nation. Sorry for that. Today we are handling Daily Nation and not the Standard. Now, address vulgarity on social media to shield young ones. We're told that this is a plea that people are being told, the community and the Kenyans and the citizens together with other entities are being told to address vulgarity on social media to shield young ones. And like many young people, they say that the embracement of technology has brought about a lot of things, and whatever is being put on social media together with other media outlets there, it's quite of importance that it needs to be regulated in terms of making sure that the words have been spoken there, the actions that have been seen are actions that do not to some extent portray the issues about vulgar language or so. And according to this story here is that at home we have, or rather at home and preschool children watch cartoons on television, computer tablets, as well as mobile phones, and therefore there is need to regulate some of the content that kind of express vulgar language. And this is according to one lady who is said to be working at University of Nairobi, particularly in the line of communication, and she says that on social media, toxic conversations abound, and therefore body shaming, vulgar language, and other forms of toxic conversation roll out 24/7, and therefore there is need to help the young ones to be shielded from vulgar language and make sure that they do not learn from it and start insulting each other, whether online or also in the day-to-day lives. That is a story that comes on board talking about issues of effects of social media, particularly on the young ones, and I do believe that is quite a conversation that we should be having some other day. But remember that story, you can find it on page 8 of the Standard. You can read more of that to get updated as well. Now, shifting gears to page 10, on what is happening around, whatever is happening around the Laikipia skirmishes and attacks that have been happening, and the move to try and bring peace and stability and securing Laikipia. We're told that state brings out the big guns to combat bandits in Laikipia, and we're told that a contingent of police officers have arrived in an armed personnel carrier at the Moran police station, and this is to try and bring quite a peace in that area. And this follows behind by 2 police land cruisers which are carrying at least 14 heavily armed officers dressed in camouflage jackets and body armored, including other items that are used to in the line of duty. But this shows you a situation that the country, or rather the government, is trying to enter into Laikipia so that they can bring issues into a standstill there. Remember, there has been quite a lot happening as far as insecurity situation is concerned in that area. At least 10 people have been killed and other people being displaced. Including out of the 10 people, we also have police officers, 3 police officers who have also been killed in that area. We saw the security team as led by the Interior Cabinet Secretary, that is Fred Matiang'i, pitching camp at Laikipia for close to 3 days in trying to discuss concerning that issue, and they have vocally spoke and boldly enough said that the government is not going to relent in any way until they find the situation is controlled. And that's why we see a contingent of police officers yesterday making their way into Laikipia and doing what they do best, trying to bring peace. But of course, yesterday being on a Monday, we saw quite a number of schools being reopened in Laikipia, but still there's a low number of students making their way into the schools, considering the parents who spoke. We had them saying that they have fear for the lives of their kids. But of course, from the government side, they have maintained that the situation is at hand, and the parents and the citizens and the locals, residents of Laikipia, should have no reason whatsoever to worry about that matter. Details concerning that story as well is on page 10 of the Standard. Now, to matters about KPA, that is the Kenya Port Authority. We're told that House team summons KPA boss over bias in hiring of staff. This is what was happening yesterday, where the House Committee, that is the Parliamentary Select Committee on Transport, Public Works and Housing, has now demanded the KPA boss to appear before it in the next 2 weeks to elaborate how the authority is managing its finances and other operations, considering the board is not fully constituted and 3 of the board members, including their chairman, Joseph Kibwana's term, ended in June, and therefore the committee has also raised concern over alleged favorism in recruitment of employees for the new Lamu port and discrepancies in remuneration of workers in the same job group. And of course, this is something that has been quite a concern, particularly in the operations of the KPA. And yesterday, that Parliamentary Select Committee on the Transport and Public Works and Housing visited the facility to try and look into various issues, how the operations are. And out from that meeting that happened yesterday, we can learn that there is some bit of things are not right as far as KPA is concerned, and therefore they have now summoned the KPA boss to come on board and give an explanation to elaborate on some of the concerns that are being raised there, issues about favorism, issues about the remuneration of workers, the likes of having to hire more workers in the new Lamu port also came out and played out in that meeting. But remember, this is quite a developing story, particularly for the residents of the coast, who do believe that this is one of the kind of resource they have in the coastal region, and therefore we will take up this challenge to follow up for you this story and give you the update concerning this as well. Out from that matter, on page 10 on the right side, we're told that the learning derail as anger keeps children from schools. This is quite also a situation brought about by the hunger being experienced in some of the areas and counties in the country, and we're told that learning is set to be disrupted owing to the fact that children cannot access schools due to the fact that they do face hunger. And the ongoing drought has hit schools hard, with hundreds of thousands of learners staying away from classrooms due to the hunger. And of course, although no official figures are available, but according to a spot check by the Nation and interviews done with education officials, they indicate that learning has suffered, especially among nomadic counties. And of course, also here in Coast, there are quite a number of counties experiencing this kind of situation. We have Kilifi there. We also have Tana River County that are facing the hunger situation, and it's quite something key to note here that learning might be disrupted. But of course, we have also had the government side through the CS for Treasury coming on board and allocating 1.8 billion shilling for school feeding program that is in line with making sure that they solve out this crisis that happens in most of our schools. And according to Lamu County here, the county government of Lamu has stated that the hunger situation being experienced in that county has brought about 9,000 learners to be affected, and therefore there is quite a worrying trend owing to the fact that maybe these learners may not be able to get to school to get education, because they may feel that they lack enough food and water. But we do believe that that situation will be handled shockingly, and a solution will be found on that matter as well. Now, allow me now to look into what is making headlines in the Taifa Leo. Mpenzi mtazamaji, lazima tuweze kuangazia yaliyomo kwenye gazeti hili la Taifa Leo, na kwenye ukurasa wa mbele hapa ni kwamba msimu wa kununua baraka. Unaambiwa kwamba uchaguzi mkuu ujao unaoendelea kukaribia, wanasiasa wanaomezea mate viti mbalimbali hasa kile cha urais wamekuwa wakifululiza makanisani ili kutafuta baraka wafanikiwe katika uchaguzi mkuu. Na pale chini tunaona baadhi ya wale viongozi wakuu ambao wanamezea kiti kile cha urais, ni pamoja na naibu rais William Ruto, ambapo kuna picha yake inaonyesha akipokea baraka kutoka kwa mkuu wa kanisa la Holy Ghost ambaye ni Coptic Joseph Pesa, na pia tunamuona kiongozi wa chama cha ODM Raila Odinga pia vile vile akiombewa katika kanisa la Bible Fellowship Church, na tuko naye kinara wa Wiper vile vile pale yuko katika kanisa la Royal Christian Church mjini Kajiado, na pia tunawaona speaker wa bunge Justin Muturi pamoja na mwenyekiti wa KANU vile vile wakiwa katika ibada ili kuweza kutaka baraka. Na ni msimu tu wa kununua baraka kama inavyoonekana hapa katika ukurasa wa mbele wa Taifa Leo. Ni baadhi tu ya zile siasa zetu tunazozipiga humu nchini, na kadri ya jinsi siku zinavyosongea tufikia hapo mwaka 2022, basi utakubaliana nami kwamba tutaweza kuona misururu ya mambo kama haya yakitokea. Tukiachana na hayo ya wanasiasa, ni tuelekee kwenye taarifa nyingine. Ni kwamba wanasiasa wasukuma vijana waweze kuchukua vitambulisho. Hii ni kuhusiana na lile zoezi la kuandikisha kura ambalo linatazamiwa kuanza wiki chache zijazo, ambapo IEBC inalenga kuandikisha wapiga kura wapya milioni 6, na ndivyo mmeweza kusikia kwamba baadhi ya wanasiasa wanawataka vijana kujitokeza na kuweza kuchukua vitambulisho ili waweze pia kuandikishwa kama wapiga kura. Tukiachana na hayo, kule Tana River ni kwamba kinara wa chama cha UGM Neto aitaka IEBC isajili vijana wakazi wa Hola. Huyu ni kiongozi wa chama cha United Green Movement ambaye ni Agostino Neto. Ameitaka tume ya uchaguzi na mipaka nchini IEBC ianzishe mipango ya kuwasajili vijana kuwa wapiga kura katika eneo hilo la Hola. Alizungumza mjini Hola baada ya kukutana na wanasiasa wanaopanga kukitumia chama hicho katika mwaka 2022, ambapo wamewahimiza pia vijana kujitokeza na kuchukua vitambulisho na kusajiliwa kama wapiga kura. Mwisho kabisa kwenye taarifa ambayo inahusiana na masuala ya kisiasa kwenye ukurasa wa 3 ni kwamba maslahi ya kibinafsi tishio eneo la kati. Maslahi ya kibinafsi na haja ya kumdhalilisha Rais Uhuru Kenyatta anapostaafu ndio masuala yanayovuruga juhudi za kusaka umoja katika eneo la Mlima Kenya, huku tunapoelekea uchaguzi mkuu wa mwaka 2022. Na wanasiasa katika eneo hilo, kulingana na gazeti hili la Taifa Leo, ni kwamba wanakubaliana kwamba Rais Uhuru Kenyatta astaafu kama rais, lakini wamekosa kukubaliana ikiwa endapo Bwana Kenyatta atasalia katika siasa akiendelea kuwa kigogo wa siasa za Mlima Kenya. Lakini kutokana na jambo hilo, ni kuna wale ambao wamezungumza wakisema kwamba huenda kuna baadhi ya viongozi, haswa wale ambao wanaonekana kuwa vigogo kutoka katika Mlima Kenya, wapo na maslahi yao ya kibinafsi ambalo ni tishio la umoja katika eneo hilo la Mlima Kenya. Na mpenzi mtazamaji, utakubaliana na mimi kwamba eneo la Mlima Kenya ni miongoni mwa maeneo ambayo yanapigiwa upatu haswa katika uungwaji mkono wa urais, hususan katika uchaguzi mkuu wa mwaka 2022. Tukiachana na hayo, tuelekee kule katika kaunti tofauti. Tunaanzia hapa Mombasa, ambapo Joho waziri waonya wakazi dhidi ya wakora wa siasa. Unaomba kwamba waziri wa habari, teknolojia na mawasiliano ICT Joe Musheru na gavana wa Mombasa Hassan Joho walimsuta na kumshambulia naibu rais William Ruto, wakisema anaendesha siasa potofu na kuwahadaa vijana wa kuunga mkono azma yake. Na kulingana na taarifa hii ni kwamba wawili hao walisema Bwana Ruto anawachochea vijana badala ya kutoa mwafaka wa changamoto zinazo wakabili, na hawa wawili walikuwa wakizungumza kuhusiana na mipangilio tu na ya kisiasa pamoja na mengi yanayojitokeza kwenye swala hilo la uchaguzi mkuu wa mwaka 2022. Kwa hivyo mpenzi mtazamaji, taarifa hiyo inayofungamana na masuala ya Joho pamoja na Waziri Joe Musheru kuwaonya vijana dhidi ya wakora wa kisiasa wakionekana kumlenga naibu rais William Ruto, ndio taarifa ambayo inapatikana katika ukurasa wa 4 wa Taifa Leo, na ndio taarifa ambayo inanipeleka mimi kwenye pumziko la kwanza, na nitakapokuwa narejea itakuwa na Zamia Njuga, mjadala wetu wa siku ya leo ambao unafungamana na masuala ya mtaala mpya wa elimu, na utakubaliana na mimi kwamba kumekuwepo na semi nyingi hususan zinazotokea na mtaala huo, lakini siku ya leo tungetaka pia kusikia kutoka katika upande wa muungano wa shule za kibinafsi. Je, wao kama shule za kibinafsi wanalichukulia vipi hili swala la mtaala mpya? Wameridhishwa na jinsi unavyofanikishwa pale nje au la? Wapo wazazi ambao wamezungumza wakisema kwamba mtaala huu haujawakalia vyema. Wameweza kutoa semi zao ambayo wamepelekea ile idara inayosimamia utekelezaji wa mtaala nchini KICD kusema kwamba wataangazia masuala ambayo wazazi wamezungumza, na haya yanafanyika wakati ambapo pia rais yule wa LSK ameweza kusema kwamba ifikiapo kesho atakuwa analekea mahakamani kuwasilisha ombi kutaka mtaala huo uweze kutupiliwa mbali. Na ndilo swali kuu ambalo tunauliza siku ya leo. Je, maoni yako ni yapi kuhusiana na pendekezo la kutupiliwa mbali kwa mtaala mpya? Wewe kama mzazi, wewe kama mwalimu, wewe kama mshikadau wa swala zima la elimu, tupatie usemi wako kuhusiana na pendekezo la kutupiliwa mbali kwa mtaala mpya. Sema nasi, nambari zetu ziko wazi kabisa, tutakuwa tunapitia jumbe zenu kadri ya jinsi tunavyosonga mbele. Lakini kwa sasa mimi pamoja na mtafsiri wangu wa ishara hapa Felix Otieno turuhusu tuweze kuchukua mapumziko mafupi. Tutakuwa tunarejea na mgeni wangu ndani ya studio, mweka hazina wa muungano wa shule za kibinafsi almaarufu kama KIPSA. Atakuwa anajumuika nami hapa, na mzungumzia mwalimu Elisha Mwango, atakuwa anasema nasi kuhusiana na swala zima la mtaala mpya. Nachukua mapumziko mafupi, usiende mbali.
Boss TV, where inspiration strikes.
Wala sehemu kiraka. Jamani, madege mengi mpaka hili nalo dege. Kumbe dege. Dege tena dege lisoliwa.
Boss TV, where inspiration strikes.
See, in fact, you are everything I ever wanted in a woman.
I think your husband is having an affair.
I'm so fine this marriage.
See, these things happens in Hollywood movies.
I've discovered that you're a witch.
Why don't you have a single drop of human sympathy?
The fact that I've been polite with you all these years doesn't mean I'm afraid of you.
You better take care to whoever that is responsible for that pregnancy. We don't have a bastard in our family.
I will not be here and allow that useless girl tear my family apart.
Point of correction. I am not abandoning my own family.
What is it? Shh. Frank, you won't sleep with me, your wife in the house. You won't sleep with me in the office. How do you want me to get satisfaction? How do you expect us to have another child?
How do you know this is not?
Oh, please don't tell me that.
Boss TV, where inspiration strikes.
This is how we do. Wananiita MC Ridwan. Ebane, make sure unatazama Hip Hop Extra ndani ya Boss TV.
Gumini jamu, chorea mbwexi. Gumini jamu, chorea mbwexi.
Tukifika basi ni nuru, tuko kwa teli kwa mbulu, kutoka Nyeri Tuburu Makanyeri Tumbukuru, tukimalizana na night tunafika Nakuru, na tuisi kazi ya bude toa ushuru. Mashode wanalia that's a bad man. Bonga taka tuku scoop up na dustpan. Red carpet tuna pull up na Mustang. Luku ya kikomba
Boss TV, where inspiration strikes.
Chakula kitamu kinategemea na ubora wa mpishi. Je, wewe ni mpishi bora au ungependa ujifunze mapishi yaliyo bora? Tunakupeleka sokoni kufanya ununuzi wa bidhaa na kukupeleka jikoni kufanya maandalizi ya mapishi. Yote haya ni ndani ya Mahanjumati na Kingsman the Chef.
Boss TV, where inspiration strikes.
Utakubaliana nami kuwa wapenzi ambao hawajafanikiwa kubarikiwa na watoto wahangaika mno kabla ya kupata suluhu. Bisara na Sieku kutoka hapa Kenya na Hens kutoka Ujerumani wanatuelezea jinsi walivyonasuliwa bila panda shuka na mapito mengi.
Tulipokutana mara kwanza, yeye alikuwa anataka mtoto na pia mimi nilikuwa nataka kwa fight like 1 year. Hatukufanikiwa, akaniambia the best way tuende kwa daktari tukaangaliwe. Tukakaa kuangalia tuenda wapi, tukapata tukaambiwa tuende Makini.
I come from Germany, near Frankfurt. I'm very happy to stay here on this place, in Makini Clinic. My body is full with energy since I have the baby. I must say thank you to the doctors for Makini. And I will do the best for the life, for Sarah, my wife, and for my daughter, Hannah.
Walikuja hapo wakiwa na matatizo ya kupata mtoto. Mama alikuwa na matatizo ya hormone imbalance. Na baada ya kupata matibabu ya hapa Makini Clinic, Mwenyezi Mungu amejalia na wameweza kupata baby girl, ndio huyu, very beautiful, very healthy. Tunamshukuru sana Mwenyezi Mungu kwa miujiza yake.
Makini Herbs Clinic, tumaini la afya yako.
Right, welcome back to the last and the home stretch part of the show this morning. Time for us now to sum up whatever we were discussing all about CBC program. And of course, there has been a lot of concern, and Mwalimu is here to shed some bit of light concerning this matter. And Mwalimu, you were telling me that we need to do some bit of corrections to make sure that this thing is effective enough. What are these corrections?
One is about the assignment that is given to the learners. The assignment that is given to the learners, it is too burdensome to the parents and also the learners themselves. So let the assignment be given in such a way that the learner is able to do much on their own than involving the parent who is not aware of what is happening.
Who brought these assignments?
The assignments are from the curriculum, actually from the textbooks. The learners are supposed to do so the principle under which the assignment is done, borrowing from the pillar of parental empowerment and engagement, you find there's a lot that parents are supposed to do for the learner than the learner to do for themselves. Yes, because the parent is also involved in the process. So the learner should be directed in a manner that is able to do much on their own, so that to achieve the self-efficacy competence.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's point number one.
That is
we should look into the assignments given.
Yes.
Right.
Then another thing, that the parents are concerned, they do not understand the assessment, because at this moment, learners don't get marks, but they just get comments. So the parents are like, we don't understand how my learner is progressing. So that part should also be looked into, that let there be marks that they are seeing, as much as there are the comments about exceeding expectation, meeting expectation, below expectation, because those are the things that are the rubrics are the ones that are used to comment the assessment, the progress of the learner in class. So let there be marks be indicated, so that the parent can know, in as much as it's indicated there in the report, that my learner is beyond exceeding expectation, is excellent. What does this excellent mean? So let there be a numerical figure. You know, the CBC assessment is more on the qualitative aspect, not the quantitative. So, but I think there should be a hybrid of the same. quantitative and qualitative.
Right.
So that you see this exceeding, what does it mean in terms of numeric? So those are the areas that the parents are really concerned about.
Very true.
Yeah.
Right, and bringing this information to parents now, Mwalimu.
Yes.
How do you think the government should go about it?
The government, as I mentioned, they should use platforms like the media. They can also organize, parents are called to schools whereby they can be informed some of the basics, especially their roles. That they know as a parent, the CBC is is a curriculum, but you as a parent on this parental empowerment engagement, this is what you're supposed to do as a parent. These are the things you're supposed to do. They can even be given, handouts, that is brochures that explain their roles. This will be so helpful to them. Because the problem here is misunderstanding the parental roles and how is it relevant, how is it important for they to be involved in the learning of the children. That is where the point is.
Very true. Right. Now, it has come to the attention of the KICD and now planning on how they can retreat and have a discussion surrounding this whole issue of CBC.
Yes.
What do you look forward to, Mwalimu, out from that meeting?
I think one of the things that they're going to look into, the issue of assessment. As I tell you, even the ministry and the Kenya Examination Council has never given a clear framework on how the assessment is going to be done, because like next year, the grade 5 will be in grade 6 next year. They will be finishing their primary cycle. How they will transit to secondary school, no one knows. There's no clue on that. You remember at one time when the grade 3 started the examination, it started by being said it is an exam. Then later on, it was said, no, it's not an exam, it is a test. Even the Kenya Examination Council had given a timetable. But then the CS for Education said, no, that is not an examination. So NEC disowned that timetable that they issued. So they said, no, it's not even a test. What is it? It's a monitoring learners' progress. So it was all a morass on the same thing about assessment. Right. And this is what is there. Then number 2, the KICD which they should address is the issue of which are the books that have the right content, because so many different books have been approved by the KICD. But looking at the content, some of the content has discrepancy. There is no synchrony in the content in the books. So this is something that I need to check on. How come that this book was approved and this one was also approved, but there is no synchrony in the content? So this is something that they need to address. Right. And then lastly, they also need to address this issue of now the stakeholders, especially the parents, are saying it is too costly. So what is that need to be reduced? And what is important is the kind of assignments that are given. Because it's the KICD that approved these books, because the book publishers actually use the curriculum designs and the framework for them to come up with the books. So it's the KICD to recommend some area that needs to be removed. Right. And therefore, if it's about the books, then you have a lot that is supposed to, because you need the authors and the publishers have to go back to the drawing board and see what is that they're going to remove from their books and reprint, which comes with the cost.
What also they're supposed to be adding.
Exactly.
Very true. Right. There are 3 key issues, Mwalimu, here I want you to explain in a nutshell before we wrap it up. Number 1, parents are quite confused.
Yes.
We used to have class 4, class 5, class 6. Now we have grade 1, grade 2. What's the difference and what is the meaning here?
Well, first of all, the word grade and class is just abstract. What is important is to know is the content. What is that is there? Now this cycle, it has the early years education. That's the first. The early years education is the PP1, PP2.
Right.
Then grade 1, grade 2, and grade 3. At grade 3, that's when these learners are doing an assessment. Then we have the grade 4, grade 5, grade 6.
An assessment, Mwalimu, you mean below grade 3 there is no assessment?
The national assessment.
Oh, the national assessment.
The national assessment. And this national assessment, there are 2 types of assessment. We have the summative, we have the formative. So the competence-based curriculum has only one summative assessment, which will be done in grade 12, which is also a concern from the parents, because if I may answer your question, we have the PP1, PP2, that's the preschool, then grade 1 to 3. At grade 3, they sit for the nationwide assessment, which the Kenya Examination Council uses it to get a report and take feedback to the stakeholders, the teachers, that they can use it to make corrective measures with regard to their teaching approach. Then we have grade 4, grade 5, grade 6. So grade 6 is the end of the primary cycle, whereby there's a test that will be done. Now this is what is under discussion.
A national level now test?
At a national level. So the question is that is being asked, will this one be used as a determiner for entry to the junior secondary or not? So that discussion is still in place. There's even a pilot test that is going to be undertaken next month for the grade 5 to see in grade 6 how shall be the test look like. But the stakeholders are yet to agree, so they can examine the council and the ministry. Then now that grade 6 is the end of the primary cycle.
Right.
Then grade 7, which is the current class 7, grade 8, which is the current 844 class 8, and Form 1 will be grade 9. At grade 9, the learners will be through with their junior secondary. They'll sit another nationwide assessment. It's called an assessment because there is no certificate issued. It's just an assessment. Then, in grade 10, 11, and 12, this is a point whereby the learners will be choosing their pathways according to their potentialities, what they want to be. If someone wants to go to music, someone goes to the mathematics pathway, someone wants to go to languages pathway, this is the place. Now in grade 10, they'll be selecting their pathways. The pathway is simply the subjects that they want to take which will lead to their careers.
Okay.
Yes. And then at grade 12, that is when they will sit an examination which is known as the competence-based examination, which is shall have replaced the KCSE examination. Then thereafter, now that will be the end of the high school.
Will that be issued with certificates will be issued?
Certificates will be issued, and it will be the determiner to college entry or university entry.
So you mean, Mwalimu, right from PP to grade 12, you'll only have one?
Only one certificate, yes, at grade 12. So that means any student or any learner who will drop in between will not be able to show any evidence that was in school. And that is also another problem which parents are also questioning. Yeah.
Right. I believe, Mwalimu, this is a topic that we'll have to discuss more on.
Yeah.
But of course, thank you for your time. Unfortunately, we've come to the end of our program. But we do appreciate your insight and your input concerning this matter. And ladies and gentlemen, I do believe now you get to understand what exactly CBC means. It begins all the way from pre-primary all the way to grade 12. I'm trying to imagine if I was during that time. But of course, thank you so much for your time, and I do believe also you've got some few details concerning how you can, you as a parent, you as a stakeholder, make sure that you also assist in one way or another the effectiveness of CBC. Although there are few of the details that we are looking forward to talk about the meeting between the KICD and the stakeholders concerning this matter. We will also be looking at what will be happening in the courts when the LSK president also will be filing that petition concerning this matter as well. And you can be sure that we will be updating you on the same in our subsequent bulletins and show during the day. But of course, up to there, I'm left with nothing but to get out of this place. But remember that you can catch whatever we are doing on YouTube as well, and on our website link, do the same. And you can follow us also on all our digital platforms. But don't forget also to share your feedback concerning this, whatever we were discussing, and I'll be looking at them later on, even though the show will be over. But on behalf of everyone who made this program a success, I'd like to say thank you so much. Let's do this again tomorrow, same time, same place, right here on Boss TV, because we are only mandated to update you, inform you, entertain you, and give you anything else that you feel you're supposed to be given. But see you tomorrow, same time, same place. Have yourself a nice day.
Boss TV, where inspiration strikes.